What's good, everyone? I'm IAnthonyD. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to see your beautiful faces. Today we are talking Texas Chain Saw Massacre once again, and we are talking about the rush meta once again. This game has been out for what, close to a year now. We're coming up, and the rush meta is something that we are still talking about, with this recent update seemingly to buff the rush meta even more with the grandpa changes, which I do think the grandpa changes were necessary. But I think we may have made a bit of a mistake. We may have taken 2 steps backwards in promoting the rush meta. So in today's video, we're going to be talking with the community here, getting some thoughts on how to fix this problem. Now, going through this, one of the things that the community seems to agree on, that we're going to hear a lot today, is that family members outside of Leatherface should start the match the same time as the victims do. This way, players like Hitchhiker, Cook, Sissy, or whatever have time to set up their traps and prepare for the victims to escape. Leatherface being the only family member who starts in the basement with the victims being the first threat that they have, it is okay and understandable that he would have a delayed cutscene. But before we get into what the community thinks, make sure to slash that like button and subscribe with notifications set to all so you don't miss out on future horror content here on the channel. But let's talk about it. How to fix the rush meta. Family members shouldn't be forced to watch 2 cutscenes simultaneously while victims are able to play and button mash their way out of restraints and toolboxes before any other players of the opposite team is able to play. Leatherface should remain the same with the delay, remove Leatherface's gallows scene for other family members, and leave them with their own single brief intro. I think they need to introduce new mechanics similar to hands that aren't stuck behind a paywall. The idea of the killer's ability to rip stall is great and does help mitigate the rush meta a bit. However, not many people play hands anymore. Rush meta just refers to the victim's ability to escape the basement before the family has adequate time to prepare. That's literally all the rush meta entails. So let upstairs family members start the same time as victims. It's as simple as that. Giving family more time to set up and be ready for victims when they escape the basement is all that's needed. Victims being able to escape before the family finishes setting up shouldn't even be a strat. It shouldn't be possible, period. The game was never meant to be played that way, and it's taken far too long for the devs to properly address it, in my opinion. I don't think that's all it refers to. I think it's also having no mind for stealth play, brazenly running to objectives as quickly as possible and directly confronting killers. Yes, it's the victim's objective to escape as quickly as possible, but it should be a combination of speed and success rate. Playing more brashly should also considerably lower your chances of success, but at the moment it generally increases them. Regardless, when most people say rush meta, I think they're referring to more than simply victims escaping the basement quickly, even if that's a large part of it. And simultaneous start times would help a lot, but I still think more would need to be done to incentivize and reward stealth and longer play. Spamming objectives should feed Grandpa and level him up. Killers, except for Bubba, start at the same time as victims. This is a must. Then make more punishing stuff for the rushing. Nuggets detecting victims and highlighting them if they run near them. Nerf proficiency, nerf stun duration so they cannot open and exit in front of your face after a grapple, because this is ridiculous. And buff stealth. Now, when it comes to the rush meta, I think forcing a player to play one way is not the way to go. Completely removing rushing should not be what we're going for here. It just needs to be a high risk, high reward situation, where, as most people can agree, currently it's just all reward. There really isn't too much to stop the victims from wanting to play that fast and escape in the first 10 seconds. So it all comes back to, what is the risk? There needs to be a risk for victim players. There needs to be something there to stop them from doing that. Let families start at the same time as victims other than Leatherface, and let them choose their spawns upstairs so they can set up faster. Start victims and families at the same time. Victims cannot leave the basement unless they have their ability charged at the beginning of the game. If you're trying to leave early, a voice line or text box that says, "Maybe I should be more prepared before I leave." You can still lockpick doors, but you can't open them until your ability is ready. Grandpa starts at level 1 if he's awakened by victim noise. How about for the final exit doors? Victims must find a special key that spawns randomly on the map, or maybe a special objective. Remove Grandpa's level 5. Make victims bleed more if they sprint when family is not nearby. Pretty simple fixes. Honestly, a lot of really interesting ideas here. Now, I think majority of people can agree having the upstairs family members outside of Leatherface starting at the same time as the victims is a pretty simple one. but giving basement doors a different objective rather than just lockpicking, something else for the victims to do before they can escape, is interesting. Punishing victims for running when family's not nearby is another interesting one. Spamming objectives or making a lot of loud noise, leveling up grandpa in some sort of way. A lot of these ideas I never even thought of, so that's why I love making these videos, and I want to hear yours. So comment down below, what do you think of what has been presented here? What do you think of the rush meta, and how would you solve it? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to slash that like button, subscribe with notifications set to all, and join Slasher Game for as low as $1 to directly support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications set to all, and I'll see you in the next one. But most importantly, remember the rules to survive. Don't do drugs, don't have sex, and oh yeah, don't die.
You gotta have a secret. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. These days, there are certain rules. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. You gotta have a secret.
You can never have sex.
Everybody dies. Everybody dies. These days,
You can never drink or do drugs.
everybody dies. Everybody dies. You gotta have a secret.